Alright everybody, welcome back to a new video. This video is about myths of the Bosnian War. Let's see, does this guy know what he's talking about? Does he not? I've not seen this guy before. So let's get into it. Do it look good? Yeah, bro.
We're going to be covering the Bosnian War of 1992 to 1995. Things like
Okay.
what it was, how and why it happened, and we are especially going to be scrutinizing some of the most common myths about it, with all the necessary context being provided so that you can follow along even if you're not familiar with the topic. The two most common competing narratives about the Bosnian War and how it ended are that the war was part of a conspiracy to destroy socialist Yugoslavia, and the USA and Western countries intervened in order to ensure its fracture, victimizing and demonizing Serbians in the process, providing an example of how Western military intervention is bad. Or that the USA and Western European countries who intervened had no ulterior motives, and they actually intervened benevolently to stop the war and its associated Bosnian genocide, providing an
Yeah, those two narratives are the most idiotic narratives. Bro, when people say these narratives, bro, I lose it, bro. I get fucking so annoyed, bro. I fucking explode, bro. I'm fucking confronting them with the fucking stupid narratives. Bro, if anybody said this shit to me, nah, bro, it ain't gonna end good, bro. He's gonna get a fucking verbal domination, bro, about history and fucking facts.
example of how Western military intervention is good. But despite how dominant these interpretations are in the discourse surrounding the war, both of them are very, very wrong. So in this video, I'm going to clear things up. This video was made possible thanks to my supporters on Patreon and Ko-fi. If you like it and you'd like to see more like it, consider heading over there and supporting me yourself. The Bosnian War started in the context of the breakdown of the Socialist Republic of Yugoslavia in the 80s and early 90s, a country in the Balkans that comprised present-day Serbia, Kosovo, Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Slovenia, and North Macedonia. This area, made up of many different peoples of many different ethnicities, had a long history of being dominated by foreign powers, namely the Ottoman Empire and the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
What does this mean? What does it mean, dominated? Nah, bro, it's not true. In the Austro-Hungarian Empire, they had a prominent power position. In the Ottoman Empire, they had a prominent position. In the Roman Empire, they had a prominent position. So what is this? That's not factually correct, what he's saying.
This situation of prolonged foreign rule bred discontent among the populace, resulting in the popularization.
That's not true. It's wrong. It's wrong. But let's give him a chance. Let's just give him a little chance.
Of the idea of rule bred discontent among the populace, resulting in the popularization of the idea of pan-Slavic unity among them, that the so-called...
That's not native. That idea of pan-Slavic shit is not native to West Balkan. It's never been. That shit came outside from. It's not a product of West Balkan, pan-Slavism. Because there's nothing Slavic in West Balkan. So it's not the correct fact.
Called South Slavic peoples of the Balkans should all be part of one big, independent, multi-ethnic, self-ruling state. This idea, known as Yugoslavism, literally meaning South Slavism, was subsequently a factor that led to the outbreak of the First World War, after the Bosnian Serb Yugoslavist, Gavrilo Princip, assassinated the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand. After the end of the war in 1918 and the defeat of the Central Powers, the Austro-Hungarian Empire collapsed, and this led to the foundation of the first ever independent Yugoslav state, which was ruled by a Serbian monarch. It was rife with ethnic tensions, however, as at the time the Yugoslav ideal...
He's going too fast, just skipping history. The only reason why this guy got that power Yugoslavia shit was because Britain and America wanted it to be like that. So that's basically it.
Was hardly
Pretty much basically it.
widely popular. Many were instead more narrow-minded nationalists, and the fact that this new state was ruled by a Serbian monarch was something of a sour point for the other groups. This fragile, young, disunited state was thus very ill-prepared for World War II, so it very quickly fell apart once it was invaded by the Axis powers in 1941. While a minority of nationalists across the region collaborated with the Nazis, hoping to be rewarded with their own fascist, homogenous ethnic states after the war, the vast majority of the population of the affected regions were very much against the occupation.
No, this is not true. This is absolutely not true. What is this guy talking about? There was a lot of collaboration with the Germans, and there's nothing to hide about it. The Germans are civil people and did not do anything bad in the Balkans, or at least in Bosnia. They are not correct because they collaborated with the Serbs. So, yeah, with that, not good. But in general, not bad. So I don't know why he's like, nah, people were not fucking. If he's gonna fucking say communists and these guys, the people were like them, fuck no, bro. People hated them. The partisans, people hated the partisans. The partisans were fucking thieves. The only thing they did, they stole. That's basically it.
This provided fertile ground for the rapid advance of Yugoslavism, as everyone was united by an active war against the common enemy. The partisan
What the fuck is this guy talking about? That's not true. That is propaganda and false propaganda.
movement that formed to fight the Nazis was thus multi-ethnic, and the Yugoslav resistance movement ended up being the only one during World War II that successfully liberated themselves from Axis occupation without having to wait for.
That's also not true. They first of all didn't liberate themselves. That's first of all false. Second of all, they got fully supported by airplanes, by support from Britain, America. Don't get me fucking started, bruh. That's false narrative history. It's a lie. It's not correct. He got backed by the West. The West wanted him there. They even fucking supplied him with fucking bombers to go around and bomb shit. So don't fucking lie, bro. It's a lie. This guy, he's not telling the truth. No, people were definitely not for Tito. They were definitely not for the Communist Party, and they were definitely not partisans. It's a lie.
Resistance from Allied troops. This created a powerful unifying narrative that the previous attempt to form a Yugoslav state had lacked. This new Yugoslavia was seen as a continuation of the same partisan movement that had successfully brought together so many different people of so many different.
This was another try of domination of Muslims in West Balkan. First try failed. They tried to eliminate them in World War I. They failed. Then they tried again in World War II. They failed. So what this guy is talking about is bullshit. It's a false narrative. It's not real history. This is just his false, compilation in his brain. Factually not correct.
Ethnicities to defeat the Nazis. The biggest, most powerful, and most popular faction of the partisan movement, led by Josip Broz Tito, were also communists. And so, after the war, the Socialist Republic of Yugoslavia was founded. Tito had emerged as the
Yeah, we're just forgetting that all his recruits were Chetniks and people from the Croat side. HVO, what are they called, bro? Ustaša and Chetniks. That was his people, pretty much. So the Serbs and the Croats who did war crimes. Yeah. This guy don't know what he's talking about. This is just bullshit history. Narrative bullshit.
Disputed military and political leader of the partisans. So now the peoples of the region had both a unifying narrative and a unifying figure, which most of them were happy to.
There was no unified Muslims got deleted. Muslims had to flee because they were persecuted, because they didn't want to be part of the communists and swear allegiance. They got poisoned. Don't get me started, bro. It's just this guy, he don't know history. He's just yapping. Yep. He's bullshit historian.
rally behind, regardless of their previous ethnic differences. This immediately solved a lot of, though not all of the problems that ethnic nationalisms had posed to the previous iteration of
What the fuck is this guy even talking about? This didn't solve shit, bro. There was mass infiltration of the Muslims, the society, the communities. Don't get me fucking started. Economic genocide, infrastructure, development genocide. Don't get me started, bro. Don't get me started. This guy knows nothing. This is a bullshit. Fuck Yugoslavia. Fuck Tito. Fuck all about the Communist Party.
Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia then remained quite stable, united and economically prosperous up until
That is absolutely not true. It was not prosperous. It was not economically stable. It was built on the slavery of the Bosnian and the Muslim population and the Albanians. Let's not forget them, and the Kosovo Albanians. That was what Yugoslavia was built on. Don't fucking lie, bruh. We know what fucking really happened. Where was the development? Where was the no development in our regions, but in your regions? Bruh, don't get me fucking started, bruh. Don't even fucking get me started. People couldn't go to school because there wasn't like allies of the Communist Party. You couldn't get educated. Don't get me fucking started. You couldn't get a job. Don't get me fucking started, bro. This guy is bullshitting, bro. If he wasn't a fucking dick rider on the Communist Party, you didn't do shit, bro. Shut the fuck up. You are fucking not even a third class citizen. You are a fucking 10th class citizen. So shut the fuck up. This guy is lying, bro. He's a fucking liar.
around the early 80s, when, following Tito's death in 1980, ethnic nationalisms, which had been mitigated but never fully displaced, started growing in.
He fucking employed the whole fucking Chetnik army from World War II and the whole fucking Ustasha army from World War II. What the fuck is this guy fucking yapping about? Shut the fuck up, you fucking idiot, bro. Uneducated, fucking foolish, fucking brain-rotted fucking Wikipedia slob. Don't get me fucking started.
Prominence once more. This had its root in economic problems that had been developing since the late 70s, which then led to scapegoating and resentment between different ethnic groups. As economist Vyacheslav Yerasevic wrote, when the Yugoslav economy was growing
all of this is just bullshit.
fast in the 1950s, 60s, and even in the 70s, delivering welfare to wide masses of working people, nationalist sentiments were put down.
Wealth to the right classes. If you wasn't in the right class, you didn't get anything. Shut the fuck up. This is bullshit, bro.
And separatist aspirations simply did not stand a chance to win popularity. But in the 1980s, Yugoslavia went into freefall. Caught in the circle of hyperinflation and economic stagnation, the peoples of Yugoslavia channeled their discontent along nationalist and separatist lines. Serbian nationalists in particular took advantage of this situation to gain significant institutional control of the government, facilitated by the fact that they were by far the largest national group in the country, and that its federal seat of government was in the Serbian capital of Belgrade. The clearest example of this was their abolition of the autonomy of the provinces of Vojvodina and Kosovo. Serb politicians claim that these provinces' autonomy weakened Serbia, and then used their disproportionate power over the Yugoslav government to effectively give them to Serbia. In the case of Kosovo, this was against the will of the majority of the population, who were Albanians, not Serbs. And Serb politicians further justified this on the basis that Serbia had to have direct control over Kosovo to supposedly protect the Serb minority there.
This is what I hate, bro. Like, this just happened one day to the next day. No, bro. These people were fucking Chetniks from World War II who were employed, and their fucking kids who also were employed in the fucking Communist Party, fucking shit-ass fucking system, son of a bitch, Tito, who employed them. This is the production. I don't know why it's like, oh yeah, everything was fucking peace and fucking unicorns shooting rainbows out of the asses and all this shit in Yugoslavian time, Tito time. Nah, bro, it's not true, bro. Majority of all Muslim, Bosnian, Croatian areas were underdeveloped to such a degree, bro. Don't get me fucking started, bro. And where did all the money go? Don't get me fucking started, bro. Corruption, well, don't get me fucking started, bro. Tito, he was a son of a bitch who employed genocidal war criminals who should have been dealt with how they should have been dealt with after World War II. But no, he employed them.
Yeah, as if the mere potential of the rights of Serbs in Kosovo being violated justified stripping rights from the rest of the population of Kosovo. And given that Serbia had justified this abolition of autonomy by pointing to this Serb minority, and there were also other republics with sizable Serb minorities, this led to fears that they may try to do the same elsewhere. This, coupled with the economic problems, resulted in a perception among the other national groups of Yugoslavia that power was increasingly being concentrated in Serbia and wielded for Serbian interests, and that there had thus been a rupture in the state's founding principle of equality between its republics. Thus, in 1991, the control of the Yugoslav central government over its territory collapsed amid a wave of declarations of independence from all of its republics, minus Serbia itself.
Yeah, and this guy, like everybody else, are forgetting the most important piece. This piece. Sanjak. You understand? And these pieces. These pieces are also Bosnian areas. There are also Bosnian areas which will be returned. The Sanjak province will also be returned. I think also this coastline is actually Bosnian coastline, so of course it needs to be returned. I don't even get why
And
Montenegro is here. I don't even get it, bro. Just, you know. So yeah, pretty much. Not the correct map. This is not correct map.
Whose population at the time preferred to remain a part of a federation with Serbia. This meant that Yugoslavia was, in effect, just Serbia and Montenegro. So the Yugoslav military and government were now really best described as the Serbian military and government, as the Serbians controlled most of its equipment, and its non-Serb personnel mostly left, or were discharged when their republic seceded. Then, Serbia, using the justification that the Yugoslav state still technically existed and that they were thus preventing separatism, went to war to attempt to bring the other republics back under their control. This quickly failed in Slovenia, as Slovenian remnants of the military and police force resisted them. The population also overwhelmingly supported independence, and Slovenia didn't share a land border with Serbia or Montenegro, making it very impractical for them to wage a protracted war there. But Croatia did border Serbia, and it also had a significant Serb minority, comprising about 12% of the population. So the Serbian-controlled Yugoslav military waged a much more extensive war there, using this Serb minority as a justification, as it had been feared they would. That war ended with an eventual Croatian victory in 1995. In Bosnia, however, things were quite different.
The only reason why Croatia won is because a lot of Bosnians and Albanians fought in the army. They're fucking idiots. They should never fight in the army. The fucking Croatians went and fucking backstabbed the Bosnians right after. Fucking idiots.
Bosnia was very ethnically diverse, with no ethnic group having...
No, it's not ethnically diverse. Bosnia is ethnically Bosnian. And majority of all these people are migrants who came to Bosnia the last 200 years. That is factually correct. You can go read history, you can go fact check. These people are migrants. Invaders. Some of them are also invaders and killers. Families who killed and stole people's houses and all of this. Some of them were brought by the Sultan because he's a son of a bitch, because he didn't like the Bosnians, because he have too much power in the Ottoman Empire. Bro, go read fucking history, bro. What the fuck? How the fuck am I more educated than fucking all these fucking motherfuckers? The fuck?
A clear majority there. The country had three major ethnicities. Bosniaks, who were mostly Muslim, were around 40% of the population, while Serbs were around 32% and Croats were 18%.
Listen. Bosnians are bigger size. We have Bosnians, huge Bosnian diaspora. We are talking plus 5 million, at least. So, if those people get the citizenship, bruh, what are you talking about? But right now, there are problems about getting the people the citizenship. But at least this number will shoot up to 5 million Bosnians, at least, if not 6, 7. So these numbers are just jerk off numbers. They don't mean shit, bro. These numbers don't mean shit.
The rest of the population were of mixed ethnicity or a whole lot of other random ethnicities, or were
The numbers don't mean shit because the land of Bosnia is the Bosnian peoples. And the Serbians, if they want to have Serbia, they can go fuck off to Serbia. And the Croats, if they want Croatia, then fuck off to Croatia. That's how easy it is. And if you have problem, there's many ways to solve this.
Romani. During the breakup of Yugoslavia, the Muslim Bosniaks and the Catholic Croats favored independence, while the mostly Orthodox Christian Bosnian Serbs wanted Bosnia to remain a part of the now Serbia-dominated Yugoslav state, or to separate into their own state if independence looked inevitable. These preferences were reflected in the results for the 1992 Bosnian referendum on independence, which immediately preceded the war. Croats and Bosniaks, almost without exception, voted for independence, while Serbs overwhelmingly boycotted it. But before this referendum had even taken place, the Bosnian Serb political leadership had already proclaimed their independence from Bosnia. They decided that they had the right to take most of Bosnia for themselves, despite the fact that even in the 70% of the country that they claimed, half of the population wasn't even Serb. They named their new state the Republika Srpska, which just means Serb Republic. So now there were two Serb republics, the Republic of Serbia and the Serb Republic in Bosnia. The goals of the Serbs in Bosnia, if the name of their new self-proclaimed state didn't already kind of give things away, was ethnic separation from the other peoples of Bosnia, with the hope that they could eventually be annexed by Serbia proper. And that's not merely my interpretation. Their government's officially declared policy was to seek separation from the other two ethnic communities, a goal that did not bode well for the future, given that they were claiming territory that had many people from those other two ethnic communities in it. And this contrasts greatly with the proposal that was favored by the Bosniaks and Croats, as emphasized by the independence referendum.
Listen, as I always say, the Serbians are thieves. Nothing else. They cannot create. They can only steal. As well as the Croats. So why not just say they're thieves and get on?
Which called for a pluralistic, non-ethnic state with equal rights for everyone. It's under this climate that the war began. The Serbs declared independence, claiming 70% of Bosnian territory, then refused to respect the results of the Bosnia-wide independence referendum. Then, just months later, Bosnian Serb veterans of the now Serb-dominated Yugoslav army were laying siege to the Bosnian capital of Sarajevo, which was defended by Bosniak and Croat veterans of that same army. So that's sufficient context to set the stage for how the war began. Now we'll be examining 4 of the most common myths surrounding the war, and in doing so we'll be learning much more about the topic in general as we go.
The whole backstory until now is totally fucked up. It's not correct, it's not factually, it's nothing, bruh. Honestly, whatever this guy told the last, I don't know, it's just, this is not correct, bro. You gotta go in, if you gotta go deep, go deep. Go deep, bro, and really tell the fucking picture. Don't fucking put fucking makeup on a fucking raggedy doll, whatever, bro. I don't know, but you get what I mean. Stop fucking lying. Be factual. Go in deep. Unless this guy have I don't know. What's it called? Viewpoint, his own viewpoint, he wanna go get through or whatever. But the fact is that Serbs are thieves and genocidals, the genocidal nation, and Croats are thieves and genocidal nation. That's how it is. And history shows that, and also don't want any grins. So that's it. But let's see what this guy has to say.
Go along. Myth 1. The war was between Bosnia and Serbia. This one isn't so much of a myth as it is a misconception, but it's still important to address it in a bit more depth, just because of how widespread the idea is. It's not entirely wrong, it just needs to be explained before we get to the other myths, as doing so provides crucial background for them as well. The technically correct answer to this idea is that the war was not in fact between Bosnia and Serbia. Rather, it was between the newly independent state of Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Suck my dick on your definition. You check the definition, check my, and you go all the way, Nah, bruh. It's not a civil war. A civil war doesn't fucking have airplanes, jet warplanes. It doesn't have fucking the full army of fucking Serbia. That's not a fucking civil war. It's not a civil war when it logistically and financially and every fucking thing is fucking financiated by Belgrade. Then it's not a fucking civil war. It's not a civil war when fucking people are coming from Serbia to fight there. It's not a civil war when they're getting fucking their arms from Serbia. Don't fucking start with that shit, bro.
Herzegovina, and the Bosnian Serb separatist state of the Republika Srpska. Bosnia never actually fought against the Republic of Serbia itself. But the most accurate answer is a lot more complicated than that. As while the war was indeed not between Bosnia and Serbia, the links between Serbia and the Bosnian Serb separatists were pervasive. Now, it would be inaccurate to outright claim that the Republic of Serbia outright controlled the Republika Srpska.
It fucking did. What the fuck?
Did not. The Bosnian Serb...
What the fuck are you talking about, you fucking idiot? Is this guy a fucking moronic retard?
Pervasive. Now, it would be inaccurate to outright claim that the Republic of Serbia outright controlled the Republika Srpska. It did not.
Yes, it did. Are you fucking idiot?
The Bosnian Serb leaders decided on their actions independently. They did.
Nah, this is not correct, bro. This is one big bullshit video. Bullshit. Fuck. Bruh, suck a fucking dick, bruh. This guy is such a fucking liar.
Didn't receive orders from Serbia, and often did things without even consulting with Serbia beforehand. But their goals...
The fuck is this guy talking about? Is he fucking... Bruh, he's such a fucking idiot, bruh. He don't know what he's talking about.
Were clearly aligned with those of Serbia itself, as both groups definitely wanted the Bosnian Serbs to take over large parts of Bosnia. When the Serbian-controlled Yugoslav state attacked Croatia in 1991...
Nah, bruh, listen up. This is bullshit. Everything and every fucking shit that happened was planned in Belgrade. By the people in Belgrade. Who also sent people from Serbia. So what the fuck are you talking about? The fucking army Serbia has is the army that is in Bosnia and fighting. So what the fuck are you talking about, you fucking moronic idiot? This is so idiotic video.
And to attempt to prevent its independence, it did so with a Yugoslav military, mostly made up of troops from Serbia itself, as almost all non-Serbs from the Yugoslav military had already left, and joined up with the newly formed militaries of their own now independent states. But Bosnian Serbs were a massive exception. They remained part of the Yugoslav army and kept fighting with them. They even used Bosnian territory as a staging ground from which to attack Croatia, almost a year before the Bosnian War itself had even begun. Then, once the Republika Srpska declared independence, the Serbia-controlled Yugoslav military transferred everything that it had in Bosnia to them. From arms, equipment, organizational structures, the works. All of it was given to them entirely intact. And most of the officers and commanders of this new, nominally independent military remained officially on the books of the Yugoslav army and continued to receive their salaries from Serbia. In fact, many of them never even formally became members of the army of the Republika Srpska, and were instead still technically members of the Yugoslav military for the duration of the entire war. Their state and military was also completely propped up by Serbia, to the extent that it makes the USA's support for Israel look like child's play. Post-war judicial investigations established that the Republika Srpska had practically no independent sources of income. As much as 99% of its budget came directly from Serbia. However, in spite of this, the Bosnian Serbs still did operate quite independently. There were no day-to-day orders coming in.
I don't know, is this a fucking serious video? Is this guy fucking serious? What do you think? Do you think people are getting debriefed every day? Briefed every day? Does he think it's like a morning call? Hey, bro, remember your plan? Yeah. You gotta go out there and do this and that and... Nah, bro. Oh my fucking god, bro. This shit can't be serious, bro. Honestly, this guy, he really think he's a historian? Bro, honestly, bro, you ain't a fucking historian, bro. Listen, people are not getting briefed every day and fucking getting sent letters and fucking... That's not how fucking war works, you fucking idiot, bro.
From Serbia telling them what to do. Rather, they managed their own affairs, especially when it came to their military operations.
No, they did not. They did not. That's not true. That is not true. Belgrade always knew where the troops was. Belgrade always knew when they were supposed to resupply them, when they're supposed to send reinforcements, and there was always communications. But listen, people are not dumb. Of course they know the West is listening. Of course they're not gonna leave a trail. That's not how it fucking functions, you fucking stupid fucking idiot, bro. I hate sloppy historians, bro. I hate historians who are lazy. Lazy historians, they're the worst, bro.
At the International Court of Justice, the main court of the UN designed to resolve disputes between member states, Bosnia filed a case against Serbia for its complicity in the Bosnian genocide and the Srebrenica massacre. The Srebrenica massacre was the killing of around 8,000 Bosnians, carried out by the Republika Srpska military near the end of the war. We will cover this event in a little bit more depth in later sections. The court found that while Serbia indeed provided massive support to the Republika Srpska, it still did not exert effective control over it to the point that they could have been considered one entity. However, they did declare that it could have exerted that level of influence over it if it wanted to, given how dependent the Bosnian Serbs were on the financial and material support of Serbia. So the full picture is that it's not so much that Serbia directly prosecuted the war in Bosnia itself, but rather that it provided indispensable support to the entity that did. The Bosnian Serb separatists and the Serbian government were...
This is just bullshit to trying to save Serbia. Listen, Serbia also got money, bro. Of course they're gonna pay some politicians, some lawyers, some judges. People, don't be dumb, bro. This is global politics, bro. Of course they're not gonna go out and give this to Bosnia and say, yeah, Serbia did this. Know how much money we are talking about? Listen, you know how much money was spent to not get this approved in the courts and getting the rights? Listen, this guy is a fucking sloppy historian, bro.
Almost entirely aligned in their ambitions. So Serbia didn't really need to tell them what to do anyway. They just gave them whatever they needed and watched them go to town, without...
Yeah, they didn't need to tell them. That's why they sent them to the generals. That's why they sent them commanders. Listen, it's retarded shit. You sent the whole fucking blueprint and then you're like, oh yeah, they didn't have constant connection. Nah, bro, why the fuck would they? Honestly, and why would there be a fucking paper trail? It doesn't make sense. It's just idiotic. It's bullshit reasoning. It's circular. I don't know what circular reasoning is, but it sounds like circular reasoning. It sounds dumb, bruh.
Directly participating themselves. Myth 2. All sides were equally bad. It's just that the Serbs were more powerful.
No. Only the Serbians and the Croats were doing genocide. Nobody else.
It is absolutely true that during the Bosnian War and the wider Yugoslav wars, all sides committed war crimes. No one had
No.
clean
That's not true. It's not true. It's not true what he's saying.
hands. But then that's also true of pretty much any war ever, even World War II. The difference is in the scale of the crimes, whether or not they were systemic and ordered from above, and whether they were part and parcel with overarching war goals. That last part is the most important one. The Serb side wanted to take as much Bosnian territory as possible, exclusively for their own ethnic group, which meant getting rid of as many Croats and Bosniaks from it as possible, either by killing or expelling them. So the atrocities were built in to their very project, to their very aims. These plans were explicitly outlined by their government in what they called the 6 strategic goals of the Serbian people, officially adopted as state policy by Bosnian Serb President Radovan Karadzic in 1992. The very first of these goals was to separate the Serb people from the other 2 national communities, and the rest outlined their territorial ambitions. They wanted 70% of Bosnia for themselves, despite only being a little more than 30% of the total population. The Serb goal of separating from the other 2 national groups could not be achieved without forcing members of those 2 national groups out of the territory that they claimed. Thus, the intent was quite clearly to eliminate those 2 nationalities as identifiable groups of people from said territory. That is clear genocidal intent, and their actions thus constitute genocidal acts in pursuit of that goal. This means that when the Serbs massacred Croats or Bosnian Muslims, these were not mere excesses or the isolated actions of a couple of rogue units, but rather an intrinsic part of their overarching war goals. Indeed, we even have transcripts from their parliament where their leaders openly acknowledge that the strategic goals that they had officially committed themselves to necessarily meant the genocide of non-Serbs. And they talked about the need to carry out these goals more conspicuously so as to avoid rousing attention and being accused of doing genocide. On the other hand, the goals of the Bosniaks and Croats were very different. The Bosniaks overwhelmingly favored a multi-ethnic state, a singular, completely unified republic with equal rights for all. The Croat position was not quite as clear-cut, but most of them did still support that same goal initially, and they also came back around to supporting it again by the end of the war. And in the aforementioned independence referendum, which was specifically a vote for a pluralistic multi-ethnic republic, Croats and Bosnian Muslims overwhelmingly voted in favor of it. When Bosniak or Croat troops did commit war crimes, which they did less frequently than the Serbs, these were more opportunistic and rarely ever ordered from above, rather than being a top-down strategy intrinsically tied to their war goals. And that
This shit, how the fuck is this shit symbolic? Show what army did what. Show what nation did what. This is bullshit. It could have been Croats attacking Serbs, so how the fuck... Nah, bruh, listen. Bosnians did... Bruh, it's bullshit, bruh. Honestly, Bosnians did nothing. What the Croats and Serbs did, you can't compare anything with that shit, bruh. Forget about it. Fuck the Croats and fuck the Serbs, bruh.
is where the key difference lies here. Drawing an equivalence between these 2 sides in this situation is similar to how some point to Soviet war crimes as evidence of some sort of unique Soviet depravity, or some sort of equivalence between the USSR and the Nazis, without mentioning the context, like, you know, the fact that such crimes happened on a much smaller scale, and that the Nazis had themselves invaded the Soviet Union with the intent to genocide and enslave practically everyone who lived there. War crimes committed by soldiers who were fighting a defensive war, who opportunistically sought revenge against people who were invading their country to literally genocide them, are clearly not the same thing as the systematic crimes against them, which are what led to that situation in the first place. And the same applies here. Whatever crimes the Bosniaks and the Croats did commit against the Serbs, they were ultimately in a defensive war against an opponent that wanted to eliminate them as identifiable groups of people from 70% of the territory of their own country, and their own goals were nowhere near as nefarious. They were certainly not saints, no one is, but you do not have to be a
Yes, they were. What the fuck? Fuck your mother. The Bosnians were the best. You can suck your mother's clit. Eh? Fuck that shit, man. Honestly, I can't say everything on YouTube. It's fucking annoying. Bro, shut the fuck up. Fuck your face. Listen, the Bosnians were fucking awesome. They did nothing, bro. The Bosnians were forced into a war. The fuck is this guy talking about? Fuck you.
saint to be on the right side against that. As an aside here, war actually broke out between Bosnian Muslims and Croats in the middle of the wider Bosnian War.
No, again, this guy is just bullshit. Nah, the Serbs and Croats were like, hey, let's just split this shit apart, and they agreed on splitting the shit apart. They even fucking helped each other. They could move freely between the territories, so the Croats could move through Serbian territories, and Serbians could move through Croat territories. So this guy is nothing, bro. He's just bullshit motherfucker lying.
Both of them were also fighting the Serbs, by the way, and war crimes were even committed between these two sides in that much smaller conflict. But the reasoning there was completely different. Many Croats came to favor ethnic separation during the war, but this was nowhere near as dogmatic or systematic as the Serb drive for something similar. Initially, Bosniaks and Croatians were allied against the Serbs and often fought together against them and shared resources, etc., which is exactly what you would have expected given the previous Croat support for a united Bosnia.
That's absolutely a lie. That's just because the Croats, wherever they collaborated with Bosnians, were only because there wasn't any Serbs that could help them backstab and do something. That's the only reason, because they're cowards, both of them, Serbs and the Croats. So they need each other to put fire under each other's feet, and how do you say it? Fire each other up, and then they get the shit pushed in, and then they run, like bitches. Yeah.
But there were petty disputes over things like the allocation of captured Serbian weapons, with both sides feeling like they weren't getting their fair share of them. And the Croats had the perception that the Bosnian central government was not sufficiently helping them when they were being attacked by the Serbs. And this led to ethnic separation becoming a more popular idea among Croats over the course of the war. This eventually led to open warfare between the two groups.
Again, a fucking lie. Lie. No. This is absolutely incorrect. It's a lie. The Serbs and Croats had an agreement that they should split Bosnia up, but the Croats only waited to find the right moment when they felt like the Bosnians they were able to take over the Bosnians. So this guy don't know shit about history. He's just a sloppy fucking historian.
But before long, they made peace, reconciled, and united to fight the Serbs once more. So while there was definitely ethnic separatist sentiment among Croats, they were still nowhere near as dogmatically committed to that idea as the Serbs were. They were broadly open to the idea of Bosnia as a multi-ethnic republic with equal rights for all, both before and after.
No, because they know they're migrants. They're not native. Listen to me, honestly. Majority, if not all, of the Croats were brought by the Austro-Hungarians. And that's fucking factually true. Listen, when I say people are not native to Bosnia, it's the truth, man. These people are not native. That's why they want to take it and destroy it. And listen, fucking learn history, bruh.
After the war, and they certainly did not commit genocide-scale mass atrocities as part of a systematic, pre-planned idea to ethnically...
Yes, they did. They were just not strong enough. They're not strong enough. What is this guy talking about? He's a fucking liar. It's not true. If whoever got the chance, they did actually... absolute same as the Serbs. There was no fucking difference. It just depended on did they have the power to do anything, because they're cowards. They only can do it if they can only do it if it's civilians. When they see they're gonna get their shit pushed in, they don't do anything, bro.
Separate as a matter of official policy, as the Serbs did. Myth 3. NATO stopped genocide by intervening.
That is not true. The only reason why the West intervened is because Bosnia was gonna win the war. It was gonna throw the Serbs totally out. It destroyed the Croats in the war with the Croats. It totally humiliated and destroyed the Croats in no time. After that, they turned around to destroy the Serbs, and they were in front of Banja Luka, 30 kilometers or 20 or something like that. And they were ready to move in, surrounded the whole fucking shit. They were gonna push the shit in, but America was like, no, you cannot do that. And said to the Bosnians, we're gonna delete all of you if you go in and win this war. And then the war was stopped.
It's widely thought that NATO, the military alliance composed of the US and many Western and Central European countries, triumphantly saved the day in Bosnia when they intervened to bomb the Bosnian Serbs in 1995, with this narrative holding that they saved the Bosnians from genocide in doing so. The Bosnian genocide occurred during this war, as part of the Bosnian Serb plan for the ethnic cleansing of the territory that they claimed. The Serb side expelled or killed most Bosniaks and Croats who they came across from this territory just as they had planned. By the end of the war, this resulted in 95% of the Bosniak, Croat, and Romani population being expelled, killed, or fleeing. This happened over the course of 3.5 years, from 1992 to 1995, and the fact that it was all happening was very widely known at the time. The Serbs had openly stated in no uncertain terms at all their desire to get rid of the Bosniaks and the Croats. The massacres were being widely reported on, the concentration camps were being widely reported on, the rape camps were being widely reported on. Yes, they also had rape camps, and Western governments had very detailed intelligence on what was happening.
Yeah, Western intelligence. What is this guy fucking lying for, bro? All these fucking army boys, they went to the fucking bars and fucking fucked fucking girls, bro, who were fucking there as slaves, bro. What is this guy talking about, bro? Listen, just look up, what's it, whistleblower? Flamingo Club. I don't remember it quite, but yeah, all these FN troops and all of these guys, they collaborated with the Serbs and Croats. They wanted the Christendom to win. Ooh, you got your shit pushed in, boy.
That went even further beyond the already explicit depictions of events that were being disseminated in world media. And yet, they not only did not intervene to stop genocide, but rather actually helped to facilitate it for much of the war. The Bosnian Muslim and Croat sides started the war much weaker than the Serb side, because the Serbs had access to the arms, the resources, and the organizational structure of the Yugoslav military, which had been almost entirely controlled by Serbia, who happily handed it all over to them intact. In contrast, the Bosniaks and Croats had almost nothing, aside from what they managed to capture from the Serbs. And yet, the US and Europe pushed through, maintained, and enforced a comprehensive UN arms embargo on all of the former Yugoslav nations.
Yeah, boy. They didn't allow us to buy weapons. So you know what we did? We smuggled that shit in. And you know what we else did? We just ran up on those fools, those Serbs and Croats, and took that shit. And you know what they did? You can't even ask them. They're not around to tell the story. But we got the shit.
For the duration of the war, knowing fully well that the main effect of this would be to lock in the Serb side's massive advantages by blocking the Muslims and the Croats from importing arms, which they needed to be able to defend themselves from an ongoing genocide. So you might have noticed a bit of a contradiction with this popular narrative then. NATO, which maintained a comprehensive arms blockade on the Bosniaks and the Croats for most of the war, gets credited with ending a genocide when in reality the genocide was in all practical terms carried out and successfully completed, with 95% of the population being cleansed from the territory in question, all before NATO finally intervened in 1995. This was, if anything,
They didn't intervene. What the fuck is this guy talking about? They intervened. Nah, bruh. We won. We won in front of Banja Luka, bro. If we went in, Serbia would have 300,000 refugees in 24 hours. We would fucking crush the economics of Serbia. Listen, after that, we go into the other cities. We throw everybody out of every terrorist army out, and listen, after that we take Sanjak, and the West knew this, and they were like, this cannot happen, this is not good, the Bosnians are too strong, we need to degrade them, oh no, oh no, oh no. But yeah, and then they were like, oh, we're gonna help the Serbs, like making this fucking illusion, fucking fake history that they're gonna go and bomb the Serbs and they're gonna stop the war, blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up, bruh.
one of the most successful genocides in modern history. It was certainly not stopped. There was one country that did actually substantially help the side that was being genocided by breaking the arms embargo and shipping them millions upon millions of dollars worth of weapons. And that country was Iran, one of the designated boogeymen.
Iran is the best. Iran, big love. You are very good people. And you know what they did? They gave, I think it was 100 million in weapons, and even the Croats, because they were so greedy motherfuckers, they even gave the Croats 50 million in oil to be able to smuggle the weapons in. So honestly, Iran, and after they said to the Bosnians, we don't need anything from you, we don't need you to repay us, we are cool. That's how it's supposed to be. But yeah, they were the only ones who helped. Iran, fuck everybody else.
And of the NATO countries. And yet in common narratives around the Bosnian War, you don't even see Iran being mentioned, do you? Instead, the nations that enforced an arms embargo on the Bosniaks and the Croats.
Let me say it. Fuck Turkey. Fuck Saudi Arabia. You can suck dick, all you fucking traitors.
For the entire duration of the war, are credited with saving the day. If NATO's goal here...
Listen, don't even show your face to me. Listen, if you come around me, bro, it's not gonna end good.
It was truly to stop genocide, then they obviously wouldn't have maintained an arms embargo on the targets of the genocide, nor would they have sat there watching.
Let me say, I know some Turkish people. Bro, when they opened them up, I thought totally destroy them. Those people are living in illusion, also Arabs. Bro, fuck them, bro. Bullshit, very big bullshit people.
Watching for 3.5 years as the genocide was being carried out without lifting so much as a finger. They only intervened after the Srebrenica massacre in July of 1995, where Bosnian Serb troops murdered 8,000 Bosniaks in one day.
What is this guy talking about? No, they didn't intervene. That is an absolute lie. Absolute propaganda coming out of his mouth.
This massacre was later ruled by multiple courts to constitute genocide on its own, and it was carried out to completion from beginning to end before NATO intervened. So not only did they not stop...
This is not why NATO didn't intervene, bro. We were in front of the fucking stronghold, the Serbian terrorist stronghold in Bosnia. If we took it, there was no fucking terrorists left, bruh. They would be destroyed. The whole communication, the administration, the logistics, everything would be fucking done for.
Genocide in Bosnia, but they failed to stop two genocides, the genocide in Srebrenica itself, as well as the wider Bosnian genocide. And all...
Bro, what is this guy talking about Srebrenica? Bro, the whole fucking area was genocide. It was one big genocide all around the country. Why is this guy only mentioning one city?
Of that is because the Western Bloc's interest in Bosnia was just cynical and self-interested. None of it had anything to do with saving Bosnians or anything like that. No humanitarian concerns whatsoever. Their primary goal was simply to prevent the Yugoslav wars from extending into
No, this is absolutely not true. Their job, the international community's job, was to facilitate the Serbs to do this and do it as clean as possible, as with as less traces as possible. That was their job, honestly. And honestly, all you fucking Americans who served in all these special forces, who saw things and not the speaking, you're fucking bitches, bro. Honestly, you guys are bitches, bro. We know you guys were there up in the mountains with your fucking goggles and watching on everything and seeing everything. You guys are fucking bitches, bro. And not for not even speaking of what happened, but for another thing, nah, bro, they were only there to facilitate it. The war was supposed to go on for maybe 2 weeks, max a week or something. But the Serbs and the West and the Croats got their plans destroyed and the shit pushed in, and that's how it is, bro.
wider European wars that might start to negatively affect their own nations. Yugoslavia had also accrued a whole lot of foreign debt from all the loans that it had taken out over the last decade, and for those debts to eventually be repaid, they had to ensure that things did not get too chaotic. And they pursued this goal by attempting to prevent any side in the Bosnian War from pushing the balance of power too far off center. Their bombing of Bosnian Serb targets post-Srebrenica massacre was the result of them finally coming to the conclusion that after 3 years of genocide, in which the Serbs...
What is this guy talking about? This bombing campaign he's talking about, it's 6 months after the Srebrenica episode. So it has no connection, it has nothing to do with each other. It's an absolute lie.
had already gotten rid of 95% of the population of non-Serbs from the territory that they occupied, the Serbs had just then gone a bit too far. And this is also why, a year earlier, the US had helped to negotiate the reforming of the Bosnian...
It's not true, bro. Honestly, the Bosnians had only almost 250,000 people in the army, bro. And counting, bro. They were arming so many people. They were fucking attacking, taking those fucking Serbian motherfuckers with their pants down, bro. Serbs are only strong when it comes to civilian people. When people are fucking fighting them back, bro, they're fucking crumbling, bro. Bro, like a general said, a Bosnian general said, the reason why the Bosnian army won the war was because he's taking his soldiers home, while the Serbs, they're just fighting for another territory they can fucking steal and sell and go and plunder and... Bruh, don't fucking get me started, bro. This is fucking stupid video.
Bosniak-Croat alliance that had broken down earlier, because the breaking of that alliance had resulted in massive disproportionate Serb military gains, and they viewed its reformation as necessary to prevent the Bosnian Serbs from gaining too much of a foothold over Bosnia, as that could have potentially resulted in more regional spillover, especially into Croatia, where there were Bosnian Serbs fighting alongside troops from Serbia proper against Croatian independence. And it's also why, a year later, when the Muslims and Croats had started making massive gains against the Serbs, and the Serb military was completely in disarray, to the point that, if the war had continued, the Bosniaks and the Croats very likely would have been able to force them into an unconditional surrender within like a year. NATO actually intervened and told the Bosniaks and the Croats to halt their offensive, with the implicit understanding being that NATO would bomb them as well if they defied this and continued. Another big part of NATO's reasoning for this was revealed in an interview with US President Bill Clinton. Clinton said that European nations, especially the UK and France, were against the idea of an independent, united Bosnian state because its Muslim population was too large, and such a state would, according to them, have been unnatural in Europe. And so they supported the arms embargo precisely because they were well aware that it hurt the Muslims way more than the Serbs. For them, that was the whole point. And they also used their so-called peacekeeper troops as a shield for the Serbs. So that's pretty explicit there, coming from the President of the United States at the time when all of this was happening. So contrary to NATO having swept in to triumphantly stop genocide,
Yep, and America bent over. It bended over. But at least Clinton, he told the truth. It's on paper. You got the receipt.
as the narrative usually goes, they had actually intentionally facilitated it. It's only when the Serbs went a bit too far, even for them, that they finally intervened. But that doesn't mean that they broadly turned against them, and the post-war settlement which they imposed upon
That's not why. It's not true.
Bosnia shows quite plainly that they didn't. And we're now going to be covering that in
Listen, the West facilitated this because they wanted this. Listen, the West is still in the mentality of a crusade, bro. The fucking Bosnians gotta understand this. The West still are in the mentality of crusades. And as soon as they realize that, they're gonna be on equal fields. As long as they don't understand that, bro, you're 10 steps behind.
depth in this next section. Myth 4. Serbia was the victim of Europe and the US and was treated
Victim. It's funny, bro. The Bosnians are mad over the Serbians perpetrating and the West and the Croats perpetrating genocide on the Bosnians. The Serbs are only mad because they're called genocidal freaks. This is, and they're victims. Fuck them, bruh.
unfairly. There is a pervasive narrative among some parts of the international left and also among Serbian nationalists that Serbs and Serbia were treated unjustly during and after the Bosnian War. This largely stems from the fact that the Bosnian Serbs were bombed by NATO after the Srebrenica massacre, so at first glance, without going any deeper, it might seem like they were the victims of Western imperialist meddling. But when you look further into the background, which we've already done quite a bit of, it's clear that things were nowhere near that simple. In reality, even though they ended up intervening directly by bombing the Serbs, they did just about everything they thought they could reasonably get away with to favor them, both before and after that. By far the clearest manifestation of this is the post-war settlement that NATO imposed upon all the parties, which was very pro-Serb. It was so accommodating to them, in fact, that it pretty much destroyed the idea of a multi-ethnic Bosnian republic for good. The Dayton Agreement, as this
What is this fucking idiot talking about? Hey, listen. Listen to me. The only reason why RS is existing in Bosnia right now, and let me explain it to everybody clear as day. The only reason why RS is existing right now is because the Bosnian old generation who was raised in Yugoslavia is living in this nostalgic fantasy of brotherhood and unity. And those people are really, really, I don't know why, but forgiving for some reason. I don't like it, honestly. It annoys me very much. But the next generation, bruh, they're not gonna speak, bruh. They're just gonna react. If somebody says something dumb, it's gonna be taken as a threat. Honestly. A dumb thing said can change many things in a night. Trust me. So, that's the only reason we are doing all this theater, what's it called in English? Theater, yeah, theater, Hollywood shit, Bollywood movie shit, where we like, listen, only reason this is going on is because of the old Bosnian people who were brought up in Yugoslavia, who got brainwashed, but when the next generation check over, different, very much different. Not even Britain, France, they can suck it, brother.
Settlement was called,
What the fuck? What the fuck a genocidal ex-empires gonna tell us, bruh? Suck it, bruh. Suck. Nobody asks you shit. And for anybody who thinks they're gonna act like a terrorist in Bosnia and think they're gonna get away with it in the next generation, bruh. The song is gonna have a different tune. So different.
officially legitimized the Republika Srpska as a permanent entity, in spite of it having previously had no legitimate historical basis, aside from it just happening to be the place in Bosnia that had the most Serbs. Also in spite of the fact that more than 45% of the pre-war population were not even Serbs, and in spite of the fact that in doing so, they were essentially rewarding the Serbs for doing genocide by giving them their own.
Why is this guy acting like they don't know what they were doing? They know what they're doing. They're still doing it. It is a continuation. It's not a surprising thing. Yeah, America and Britain and France, they did this and made RS a thing in Bosnia. Nothing else, because they want this. They don't like Muslims. It's so fucking difficult, bro.
Little
They don't even like Muslims in their own country, bro. So why would they like Muslims in other countries? It's so fucking foolish, all this. Like, you see a person saying, like, you look at the shit, and you can see it's a shit, it smells like a shit, but this guy, he's telling you, no, bro, this is not shit. This is gold. And this other guy, he believes it. It's not the guy who's saying it's shit, it's the guy who's fucking believing it. But I'm saying it, next generation RS, done, bro.
Ethnic proto-state. While it is technically still a part of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Republika Srpska.
It's not technically, it is. It gets money from Bosnian taxpayers. These guys here, let me tell you, these guys here have no money. These guys here have all the money, because who the fuck wanna go over to a genocidal people, bro? Nobody wanna go there. These guys over here actually goes over here to work. All these guys goes over here to work because no money, have no money. These guys over here have no money. Soon this disappear. Soon here you have Sanjak, Montenegro.
Is a state within a state.
We gotta speak with them. They did some horrible things in the 90s. This gotta be solved. Who did what and what was going on? And here this will be taken. Yes, it's good. Here, I don't know. We're gonna see when this is gonna come, but it will come. It will be very nice, very beautiful. Because honestly, you can see it. All this is stolen land. That's why there's nothing happening. All these people who lived here once upon a time, they're fucking G-sided. They're, you know? So all these people who moved in, they just moved in for a generation two, sold the fucking land, and now it's empty.
With a fully autonomous Serb parliament and leadership who manage most of the territory's affairs themselves. The genocide that they carried out there during the Bosnian War also raised the Serb share of the population from around 55% pre-war to around 90% today, just further showing you how successful the genocide there really was. While
these numbers are 100 billion% fake. First off, there's no fucking way there were so many. Listen, at least 200,000 are fucking ghost people because they need them to vote and take social benefits out of the system in their pockets. Listen, don't get me started, bruh. Don't get me started on the different rackets there are in Bosnia, okay? Listen, we are not born yesterday. If you go out and count every head, maybe there is in RS maybe 300,000, 400,000 people, not even maybe. Bro, I've driven there, it's empty, there's nobody, bro.
just further showing you how successful the genocide there really was. While this is not exactly what the Serbs had aimed for during the war, it's very close to what they
Why the fuck are you lying? This is exactly no. Actually, not. They were aiming for more, and they were aiming for better. They were aiming for they could they could take the land into Serbia. Yeah, exactly. But they got shit, and now we're gonna push the shit more in. If they don't want war, like pussies, we're gonna fuck them politically and economically.
had wanted, and infinitely closer to what they had wanted than to what anyone else had wanted. Their officially declared strategic goals were to conquer
Yeah, it is closer to their goals.
70% of Bosnian territory for themselves, and to rid it of all non-Serbs. In the end, they were given 50% of Bosnian territory, and they went from being around 55% of the population to around 90% of the population. For committing genocide, they were handed their own little ethno-state carved out of half of Bosnia, and now
Yeah, and Bosnians allow it. Listen, I don't give a fuck about what other people do. What are you allowing to be done to you? That is the question. Fuck everybody else. Everybody else is bullshit. They can talk, they can do whatever, they can say whatever, blah, blah, blah. But what do you allow to be done to you? You know? He can say bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. If you don't say shit, okay, he's gonna say bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. But if you react on his bullshit and put him in his place and take control of the situation and don't listen to others, brother, that is the solution.
they're just biding their time, waiting for an opportunity to attempt to secede and join Serbia proper once again.
And you cannot blame others for allowing you. You cannot blame others for yourself. You cannot blame others for allowing yourself that faith, if we can say it like that.
And that's hardly speculation. Bosnian Serb political leaders are actively and openly pushing for separation still, right now. Just last year, the president of the Republika Srpska was criminally convicted in a Bosnian federal court for calling for separation.
This is one thing I hate. Stop feeling pity for Bosnians, bro. The Bosnians gotta fucking take fucking control of their fucking land and their fucking lives. Stop fucking feeling. Do fucking something. What the fuck you waiting on? The next fifth. Are you waiting for fifth generation to do something? The fuck?
Separatism. And he was immediately replaced with another president from the same exact party that supports separatism. And this election in which he was replaced was contested between that replacement
First of all, what the fuck do you even allow Serbian parties in Bosnia?
and a candidate from another party that is also an ultranationalist separatist party. Considering that they were by far the worst party in this war, who committed by far the worst crimes for by far the worst purpose, the fact that the Serbs were subsequently handed so much of what they wanted at the cost of the Bosniaks and the Croats is criminal. And it's even more criminal that they've since had the audacity to constantly frame themselves as the victims, and that many others have bought into this narrative, which was actually spread pervasively both during the Bosnian War and afterwards, and indeed it still is today, by many in the international left, perhaps most famously by the author Michael Parenti. They framed the Bosnian War as part and parcel with a Western conspiracy to break up Yugoslavia, and the Serbs as either the good guys or as the sort of least bad guys of the conflict, who were simply trying to save the dream of a united Yugoslavia. But the reality is the complete opposite. Yugoslavia was destroyed in large part because of Serb nationalism. They tried to turn Yugoslavia into little more than a vehicle to pursue their own national interests, which is a big factor in what drove the other republics towards independence. Their goals were explicitly ethno-nationalist, and they used clash of civilizations style Islamophobic rhetoric that sounded exactly like that of today's European far right and of Zionists. They outright said that the war was a holy war against Bosnian Muslims, and that they were doing Europe a favor by protecting it from Islam. Not exactly the most progressive.
It's true. That is how Europeans speak. What progressive? What is this guy living in an illusion? No, go listen, go speak with the elites in Europe and listen to what they're talking about. Listen. Bro, this guy is living in illusion.
Left-wing folks in the world, right? The NATO countries favored the Serbs as much as they thought they could get away with doing, despite being under a lot of pressure to do the opposite, due to how widespread the knowledge of Serb crimes was. NATO only took decisive action against the Serbs after they had literally murdered 8,000 people in one day. But then immediately after that, ordered the Muslims and the Croats to stop pushing forward when they were on the cusp of outright winning the war. It then pushed through a settlement that permanently legitimized the Serb ethno-state carved out of Bosnian territory, which is what the Serb nationalists in Bosnia had been fighting for in the first place, ensuring that Bosnia is doomed to remain a broken country and rendering a...
This is not correct. Bosnia is not doomed to anything. Listen, all this shit, doomed, blah blah blah, forget about it. It's not correct. The only reason why Bosnia is in this situation is because we have some brain broken Bosnians who think they're fucking in some fucking film of brotherhood and unity instead of fucking waking up and smelling the fucking roses and fucking realizing, listen, bitch, those motherfuckers are fucking genocidal motherfuckers who need to fucking be dealt with because they're terrorists, and terrorists need to go to jail for having terroristic viewpoints, did terroristic things. And if America and Britain and whatever fucking country has a problem, they can pocket those terrorists on first-class tickets direct to their countries, and they can give them a fucking part of their countries. And that's how the fucking it should be. Instead of this fucking illusion of, oh, they're not all the same. Fuck that, bro. I don't got time for that. Either you Bosnian and you fucking, if you're trying to have terroristic views, you're going to fucking prison. That's how it's a fucking, that's a country. Not all this fucking brotherhood, unity, Yugoslavia, Serboslavia. Fuck that. The only reason Bosnia is in this situation 100% is because of the old generation of Bosnians. The young generation, listen, bro, we're gonna not fucking accept this shit, bro. This is too much shit, bro. This is PTSD. PTSD every day. You understand me? This is not good. We don't want this. We don't have time to do this. We wanna enjoy the Bosnian nature and have it good. So we're gonna remove this shit.
Another ethnic conflict practically inevitable. It is somewhat easy to fall into this
enjoy nature and smoke fucking weed. Yo, bro, imagine that river rafting and then smoking too, bro. That would be fucking awesome. But nah, bro, we gotta deal with this motherfucker shit, bro. Listen, it's gonna be abolished. We're gonna take some of Serbia. It's not Serbia, it's actually Bosnian land. People got their deeds, they got the land. Everything is documented, who owns what, and Sanjak and all of this. And we don't got time for all this. Serbia can go and play with some other people. We don't want to have contact. We don't want to speak. We don't want to be friends. We don't want to pals. Nothing, bro. Just block. You know, on Facebook, when you block a person, yeah, it's going to be like that pretty much.
Serb victimhood narrative, because at first glance, without
And Croatia, too.
Without any further investigation, it really might seem like the Western imperialist nations took a really firm stance against the Serbs. I mean, they bombed them. But the reality, as we've gone over here, is clearly far more complicated. It was the very definition of a mess, a clusterfuck, so to speak. And you really need...
No, it's not a clusterfuck. Stop fucking saying that. It's a continuation of a crusade that has been going on for the last 200 years in the Balkans. Stop saying it's a clusterfuck. Every time you say this, you keep on fucking going in and giving them tools for the propaganda. Nah, it's not a clusterfuck. It's a continuation of a crusade against Muslims in Balkan. That's it. Stop saying it's a clusterfuck. It's not. It's simple.
To look below the surface to understand what really happened.
Listen, the West, they're not complicated people. They're simple people, dumb people. They're telling you the fuck what's happening in your fucking face, and you guys are not listening, bro. Not listening.
And who NATO favored and how. It's disappointing that so many respectable figures on the left failed to do so, and instead argued backwards from the Serb victimhood position, apologizing for some of the worst ethnic nationalists in modern history in the process. Again, the Bosnian Serbs were the pioneers of the modern Islamic invasion fear-mongering that today is practically mainstream in the West. This position also might seem more sensical if you also take the Kosovo War into account, which was a different conflict that came years later. The fact that NATO also intervened against Serbs there certainly could make it seem like there was an anti-Serb pattern in these interventions, though in reality, that one was actually against the Republic of Serbia proper, rather than just Bosnian Serbs in Bosnia. But Kosovo was a different situation entirely, which was not too directly related to the Bosnian War, and things there were not quite as black and white as they were in Bosnia. I won't be addressing it directly in this video as it's much too complicated to do any justice to by just going on a brief aside in a video about a different topic. Though if this video performs well, who knows? Then I might make a detailed follow-up video regarding Kosovo. And that brings
This was definitely not a detailed video or nothing, bro. This was your viewpoint, who is flawed, extremely epically flawed, like crazy. It's wild. Honestly, I think this guy is Bosnian. That's the sad part. I think this guy is Bosnian. Bro, honestly, you gotta read up on a lot, because you don't know about the history of the Bosnians the last 200 years. It sounds like you're trying to construct some new viewpoint who doesn't make sense. It's a third fucking propaganda fucking tool. It's just not true, bro. It's not true. And if we gotta be totally honest, Bosnia has lost 93% of its lands. Not only this small part, no, 93, because we gotta count all the territories, because everything is connected, and we gotta be honest. So, it's not the worst, but not the best. There is a lot of facts, but also a lot of it's not. Nah. Yeah, I think this guy, if he sits down and really studies, he can make a better video. This was not detailed. This was not good enough. Not good enough. Not good enough. Even why did he not go into the psychology of the Bosnians? You know, because it's not first time there been done genocide against them and all of that. And right, it's a lot. This video is totally not historical or factual. It is totally his viewpoint. There is some historical facts like Bill Clinton and all of that, and embargoes and Iran helping and all of that, but there is more, and it's not quite went into it to give a clear picture of what is actually going on in the West Balkans. Because to understand the West Balkans, you gotta take the last 200 years. If you don't do that, you ain't understanding shit, bro. Then you're just wasting time. Honestly, it's just a waste of time. If you're trying to start any analytics up about West Balkans and you're not taking the last 200 years in, just forget about it. It's just a waste of time. It's just garbage information. You can't use that for shit, bro. So yeah, see you guys next video. Adios.